here we go again. Anything is possible. And the crowd absolutely love it. This is why we love Formula One.
Well, Max Verstappen's 67th win back-to-back with Monza, and George Russell somehow up to the podium on a weekend in which he's felt pretty rubbish. And Carlos Sainz, what about that? His first podium for Williams, and perhaps the sweetest yet. That was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Let's get all the reaction here on your post-race show. And welcome down to the paddock, which is bustling behind us because James Vowles has joined to top the show with us. James, fresh from a podium for Williams. Just sum it up.
Extraordinary. I've had the pleasure of having many podiums in my career. This one will stay with me forever. It means a huge amount to me from where the team was on our journey to where we're going, but Carlos earned it today. This wasn't luck. This was him driving his socks off all weekend.
How nervous were you when you were seeing what Mercedes were up to, your former team, what George Russell was up to, the pace they had, the pace Antonelli had in the closing stages?
Okay. I mean, a weird thing about me is I don't generally tend to get nervous in races, but listen, I knew George, we couldn't defend against both. They were mighty quick today, but I think what proved to be the case is what we thought, which if we can hold up one of the two, and we will do.
James, you kind of took what felt like a very personal approach to getting Carlos to come to this team. It's been a very close relationship. He obviously had a lot of faith in what you were doing and the vision you had for this place. So, I mean, how on a personal level, how nice does it feel to have Carlos have that success in this first season?
Yeah, definitely. I'd even take it a step further, which is I've wanted him to be basically having a great result like this since the beginning of the year, because you could see it was on the cards. It just never came together for one reason or another. And as you both know as drivers, this suddenly builds your confidence and momentum and allows you to step forward. That's what I wanted for Carlos.
I think one of the great things is to show the car pace. You guys have an amazing race pace. As you said, yes, the Mercedes was a little quicker, but you have genuine pace to be there every week. What do you need to do to transfer qualifying? Because qualifying is, I think, is where everything happens.
Yeah, you're spot on. So I think what we did already this weekend, we had a menu of about 10 items just to get the tyres in a better window, and I think it worked. If we go back to qualifying, Carlos's lap wasn't magic to me. It was a good lap, but we were able to get the tyre finally into a good position. Now there's a but. We were quick in Baku, we've been quick in Baku in the past. Singapore is going to be a tough matter. I think that's just the reality behind it. But there's plenty of other tracks where I think we'll be there fighting with that car pace.
James, Carlos Sainz had scored 16 points all season to this mark here in Azerbaijan. He's just picked up 15. He's gone up to P12 in the championship. How much did he need this as a boost in confidence, just to really reflect on where he truly is as a driver in terms of those numbers you're talking about, the qualifying form, the pace?
Yeah, I think he definitely needed it. We all needed it as a team, though. It just shows to the world this is absolutely where we are, and this is the journey we're on together. And for Carlos, exactly as James was saying, it's fundamentally, I think, ratification for the decisions he took a year ago.
And how much does it say about Alex Albon as well that he joined you guys for that podium celebration?
Yeah, this is what I love about this team. It is a team, and exactly in that way. And before I knew it, Alex had literally jumped out of the car and ended up just behind me. He wants this team to be successful, and he was there to celebrate by our side.
So, yeah, go ahead, James.
I was going to say, James, you came into this season and you'd sort of announced fairly early on that you guys planned on stopping development for 2025, focusing on 2026, maybe the first team to kind of really publicly declare that. You have a nice stranglehold on fifth in the Constructors' Championship now. Are you surprised by the pace you've been able to maintain, two-thirds of the way through the season?
There's a little update that we sort of snuck in. There was a mixture of developments which helped us.
Cheeky updates.
In around Spa time.
Okay.
But we still had the focus on 26. We did it in a slightly different way, and I'm very proud of how the team went around that. Am I surprised? Yes, because at the beginning of the year, we knew it'd be very tight in the midfield, but to still be here now and actually putting a little bit of, I wasn't quite comfortable yet, a little bit of breathing room to the others is a great reward for a team that's really pushing on.
What does it mean then looking ahead, James? You've got Singapore next up. It's another twisty street circuit, but a lot higher downforce. And then the rest of the season as well. Where's this Williams pace going to ebb and flow?
My prediction, and this could be entirely wrong, we're going to struggle in Singapore. I think when we go to the max wing, we know that's not what this car's optimized at all. And for clarity, the wing that we're running is a year-old wing. We didn't invest in that downforce level. So that's why I'm unfortunately fairly confident. It's not going to be last, but it will just not be in the position we are here. Going forward from there, though, there's some great tracks for us. Abu Dhabi, I think, will be very good. Vegas will be very good for us. I think Brazil, Mexico will be very good for us as well. So I think there's a few on the calendar still where we'll have a good opportunity.
So more good than potentially where you will struggle, perhaps?
Let's see. I might regret these words, but I mean, what we've said already is this car, if you look all season long, apart from where we haven't had reliability and we haven't finished races, Alex and Carlos had the opportunity to score points at most events. And that's a difference to a year ago. So I think there's more good than bad following, and we just got to make sure we keep scoring when the points are available.
James saying you're comfortable in P5. It's actually 29 points ahead of Racing Bulls, and they had a good day today as well.
I'd
say no.
definitely not comfortable.
Until you get like what we had in Brazil last year with LP, right? So it just takes one situation.
Anything can happen.
This is it, and that's what I love about Formula One now. It's so close that literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
I'll be comfortable when it's Abu Dhabi and it's done.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll be with you right through to the very end. Thank you so much for coming on the show, for all of your time through the weekend. Go and enjoy your time with Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon as well. All right, let's take a look back then at the race highlights. Here's how it happened.
And the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is underway. Verstappen chops across and he got the launch that he needed off the line.
Piastri is the back of the field. He's not got away at all.
That's laid on the brakes from George Russell to get back past Yuki Tsunoda, who jumped him in the opening corners of the Grand Prix. He's in the wall, he's out of the race. Oscar Piastri into the barriers. And here we go, great launch, and he takes us back. He checks the mirrors, and Sainz isn't close enough to shape for the move, but there are loads further back. The two Mercedes, side by side. Are they gonna make it through that first turn? And that was punchy stuff from Kimi Antonelli. What, Alex Albon's gonna make contact, and he does. Albon into the back of Colapinto, the yellow flag out, and Colapinto kept it going. Antonelli in the slipstream, gaining all the time. This is the best momentum that he's got, and Antonelli makes the move. He's roared by. The second place driver, Carlos Sainz, with a crucial stop. Gets rid of those medium tyres, bolts on the hard tyres. 2.6 seconds will absolutely do. Russell versus Sainz for P2. Sainz is behind George Russell. And weaving across the line to celebrate victory is Max Verstappen. That's 2 in a row for Red Bull. For the first time with Williams, Carlos Sainz will stand on the podium.
Well, it is a memorable and wonderful, super special podium for Carlos Sainz at Williams, but we must wax lyrical about Max Verstappen once again. After victory last time out at Monza, he's done it again, and fair play to you, sir, because you called it. You said Max is going to get up the road, chip away, and stay ahead.
I'll tell you, it was really a little bit risky to start on the hard tire.
Right.
But it was the right decision. Normally, when you start on the hard tire, you have a huge advantage because the higher fuel load, you have a better tire, and when you have lighter fuel load, you're gonna end up with a softer tire. So it actually plays into their hand. If you can have a clean race, it was the right way to call it, especially when you have a Williams and a Racing Bull that you're going against.
And I think the fact that it is the shortest run from pole to turn one definitely attributes to that decision. If it was Mexico, or if this was maybe even, I don't know, Monza, you know, you might want, Austin, you might want that pull off the line. But again, they called it brilliantly. Max executed brilliantly, as he always does, and fair play to them.
We'll continue to wax lyrical about Max Verstappen, but first of all, I'd like to wax lyrical about a driver who's going to join us live. We welcome in Liam Lawson, starting P3. Liam, well done. Congratulations. Finishing off P5. I know you wanted that top 5 position. My goodness, you had to work for it in the closing stages with Yuki Tsunoda, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, all on your gearbox. Talk us through it.
It wasn't fun, honestly. Yeah, it's a great result. I think, obviously, for the team coming into this weekend, if you told us we'd finish in the top 5, it would have been a great result. Obviously, starting third, part of you always hopes that you can try and stay there, and obviously I would have loved to do that today, but we just didn't have the speed. I really tried, gave it everything, and especially in those last 15 laps, to keep those guys behind.
You also had a battle with Antonelli at one point as well. You really had to switch those hard tyres on quickly in these cooler temperatures. Talk us through that.
It's a shame because we switched him on, and I had enough gap to him, but I ran out of energy and got halfway down the straight and just ran out. So it's something I learned from and made sure that it didn't happen later on in the race when I had the trainer cars behind me. But I think, honestly, anyway, I don't think we would have had the speed to keep him behind for 30 laps. I think that stint was. So, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's still a good result.
With that many cars out of position, I think a lot of people were expecting more cars like the Ferraris, like the McLarens to kind of make more progress. But through that first stint, that first half of the race, you were holding position up there. Were you kind of surprised that you were able to maintain that track position that far into the race?
I think it's something you're trying to judge. Like at the start, I was trying to see how much pace we actually had. I'm trying to work out whether we were going to be able to stay there or not. I think you can gauge it quite early on, and there was a part at the start where I thought maybe we were going to be okay, but it was just as everything started to dig off, and we had quite low downforce on the car today, which helped us in sector 3, but I think it just hurt the tires a little bit, and yeah, it's I realized pretty quickly that we probably weren't going to have the pace to keep some of those guys behind, but try and keep as much as I could.
Yeah, I think something that was really interesting to see was, as you said, you were really trim, but it seems like you had really good drive all day. Like you could come off the corners, you were never sideways. It just like it looked in control that it was really good. You were never really defending.
Yeah, it was always, honestly, and at this kind of circuit as well, it's more just energy management, trying to use it in the right places and make sure that you have enough down the straights, because it makes a massive difference, and it's something that's on a track like this with such a long straight, you know, you can use quite a lot of that caster section to just save little bits of throttle and energy, and also helps the tires, and then you have a bit more drive. And it's been something that has saved us this weekend, especially today. Turn 16, coming off the corner has always been good. It was good in qualifying. It's something, I don't even know why, but especially with our low downforce, it's surprising, but it helped us today.
JPM makes it sound so simple. You didn't even really have to defend. I'm sure it was a tad more stressful in the car.
I know how stressful that
Yeah,
is.
it is stressful, yeah.
But it just, you know, it was really good to see. You just didn't put a foot wrong today, and I think that everybody needs to appreciate that.
They're the best kind of drives, right, where it looks so easy looking at it and watching it, and actually I'd imagine you were working exceptionally hard within it. And how much did you need this today, Liam, as well? Because there's a lot of chatter around the Racing Bull seats, your future for next season, where that's going to fall. What can you tell us?
I have no idea, to be honest, but it's a good result, and I think honestly for me, it's every time I get in the race car, I try and do the best job I can, and I'm not going to get it right every time, but I think you know, I've learned a lot this year and got a lot more comfortable through the year as well. So yeah, it's something that I try not to think about too much. It's not up to me at the end of the day anyway. So you know, for me, I'm just focused on trying to deliver each time I get in the race car.
All you can do is what you've done today, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Well done, you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Liam. Great drive, as you say. It just looks so easy from the outside, and I mean, what a defence he put up in that final stint. All right, we're going to get into the McLaren story as well, because my goodness me, we've seen an Oscar Piastri DNF today. Let's hear it from Andrea Stella.
Andrea, that was what can only be described as a difficult day for the team there. What are your initial thoughts and feelings after that race?
Yeah, you're right. It was a difficult day. It was a difficult weekend. Yesterday, not the result that we wanted in qualifying, and today somehow we stayed along the same line. We had issues with Oscar, which are quite uncharacteristic, I would say. I'm sure he will get the learning from it and come back stronger. He's a very, very solid guy, very solid driver. So certainly with Oscar, we will be back on form in Singapore. And with Lando, we didn't have a fast enough car today to be able to overtake. So we spent all day in traffic. Overall, quite a lot of work for us to do, to be performing in circuits like here in Baku, where the corners are short, there's a lot of braking, and we seem to be losing some of the advantage that we have in some of the tracks.
Just sticking with Lando's race for a moment there. As you said, you feel like you just didn't have a fast enough car. Is that really all it came down to? We saw the slow pit stop as well. Do you think there was any more that could have been done or anything done differently in hindsight?
I'm not sure in hindsight. Certainly the slow pit stop didn't help. We'll have to see whether it was decisive or not for the position. I can't say that now. We stayed out as much as possible to see whether there was a safety car, which here is not unlikely, even though today was just at the start. I think ultimately we finished in the position that we deserved, considering the job that we have done, even if the car was possibly slightly quicker. but we should have expressed this potential yesterday in qualifying, and we didn't. So lots of learning. We take it on the chin, and we will come back stronger as a team and as drivers in Singapore.
And just a word on Oscar's race as well. As you said, uncharacteristic from him. We're not used to seeing him making errors such as that. Is there any indication of whether he's just been struggling all weekend? Was he more nervous than usual? I mean, of course, the full start was one thing, but then the crash just doesn't seem like him.
Well, I still have to talk to him, see exactly how he's feeling, what his thoughts was. But, you know, like, I have experience of having worked with multi-champion drivers, and days or weekends like this can happen in a season. So far, Oscar, I think, has been the most solid driver in the 2025 campaign. So a one-off race can happen, and I'm sure these are also the moments where you get most of the learning. So for you to be stronger, to improve, and keep the contention for the Drivers' Championship, in which he still remain the favorite.
And of course, the battle for the constructors now continues for another round as well.
Round.
Andrea, thank you so much for talking with us. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Well, stay with us. We're going to get into this McLaren story from today. Another twist in this championship tale. Is it a lack of pace in the car? Is it a too conservative strategy? Uncharacteristic mistakes from Oscar Piastri? Is the championship pressure getting to him? And what more could Lando Norris have done? But first, we're going to speak to Yuki Tsunoda, who has a season best finish of P6. Yuki, what a battle. You were in there, locked in front of Lando Norris, behind Liam Lawson. Take us into the cockpit. We've just had Liam on the show. He said it wasn't that fun. It was a bit stressful. But you came on the show just before that and said, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it first stint for sure. The second stint was also very hard for me, you know, like, especially McLaren behind. And thinking about championship and both team and driver championship for Max, you know, there are a lot of opportunities I could probably go inside and some attack Liam, but there's a lot more risk that maybe McLaren will maybe, you know, overtake both of us or either rejoin behind me, which he will, you know, step up one more grade. So I think, as a Red Bull, you don't want to have that, and I think I did the right decision, not probably challenge into him, but at the same time, I didn't have enough pace also to overtake comfortably.
Yuki, we were just chatting beforehand when we were watching that interview about the kind of lack of incidents that we saw here today. I think we all expected it after yesterday. Did it feel much different from inside the car? Were the wind gusts and everything not as disruptive?
It's a lot different to yesterday, for sure. Yeah, I was hoping to not have safety car with especially my strategy, especially in the beginning. And I was more hoping towards the end at having safety car, but at the same time, yeah, was a bit surprised. I think last year as well, we didn't have much safety car, and I think drivers started to get used to it, and I think it shows how the level is really high in this current Formula 1 grid. And yeah, I think with that, I enjoyed it.
I think for you personally, I think it's got to be really good to have finally a strong result, and I think something you can build on. You know, how much is of a boost for you finally getting a good qualifying, a good race for the upcoming races? The car seems to be getting better every week, so you got to be pretty excited.
Yeah, it's something that gives me more confidence in the future. I think we made a couple of changes to the car, which got supported a lot from the team. And also I put some effort to my long run, which last week I went, just saw some, you know, some trend that Max is doing a little bit differently compared to myself. And, you know, I had that idea, then immediately, you know, translate to the simulator, and felt something good there. But obviously, translate into this real track is a lot different story. And I think I'm able to try some multiple steps and happy to show some good steps with that. Show some pay some really good from that simulator. So it's not the level that I want yet, but I think from the changes to the car helps a lot for myself. But also this some bits from my driving style matches well with these changes. So I just keep what I'm doing now and progress more.
Crucial steps, crucial progress,
Definitely.
Yuki. It's brilliant to see. Thanks so much for coming on the show. As ever, well done you. Brilliant weekend, brilliant afternoon for you in Baku. Thank you so much, Yuki. We will let you go, continue your duties. Okay, let's hear from his boss, and what a tenure he is having at Red Bull in just a few races, Laurent Mekies.
Laurent, congratulations on victory today. Let's start with Max's race. I mean, completely under control, just solid performance from start to finish.
Yeah, that was really such an impressive demonstration he has done again. 2 weeks after Monza, coming here, the super difficult conditions in qualifying yesterday, not knowing very much what to expect today in terms of race pace. Nobody had done any long runs on the medium or on the hard, and he just took it step by step. He just pulled away tenths after tenths and seemed untouchable. So obviously it made everything quite a bit more easy, and it's also a very good sign for the car. Yuki was also fast, a few tenths away from Max and bringing home some good points. His best race, I think, for us.
Yeah.
So it's a good sign for the car. We know this track is still very specific. It's not Monza, but it's still the low downforce. It's still the very low speed corners, but which confirms that in these sort of situations we have unlocked something. We are equally conscious that we go in the rest of the season with very different tracks, but it will be a good test for all of us as a team.
It's back-to-back victories now, and as you said, really promising reflection of where the car is at for both the drivers, as you mentioned as well. Yuki having a fantastic race today. How are you feeling when you look ahead to what's to come, especially with Singapore up next?
We take it step by step. We concentrate on ourselves. We try to look what is limiting us, how to unlock it. That's what the guys have been so good to do, both in Milton Keynes and here at the racetrack. And it worked here, it worked in Monza. The equation in Singapore will be completely different. It's a track, actually, I think it's the only track where Red Bull Racing never won. So we know it's back to the very, very high downforce and tracks we have been struggling a bit more, higher temperatures. So we'll see. We focus on trying to improve step by step the car. And even if the regulations are completely different next year, developing our understanding of what is limiting us has a value, and hence we are taking it as seriously as we can.
Thank you very much for speaking with us, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
So the back-to-back wins then that Max Verstappen has secured between Monza and here, that's the first consecutive back-to-back victories for that driver since Canada and Spain in 2024. Which seems amazing when you think of how much Max Verstappen has won, how often he wins, but have Red Bull unlocked a little something with this car? Or is the field converging as everyone rests their development and looks ahead to 2026? So what's the factor?
Well, I think the fact that a lot of them are sort of resting development means you're going to see less convergence by the end of the season than we typically would in a year. But they've clearly brought something, a change to the floor, also a change to the philosophy. That was talked a lot about in Monza, kind of trusting the drivers a little bit more than the simulation tools. It's working out so far. That said, back-to-back races, similar type of aerodynamic setup, lower drag, lower downforce. When we start getting to some of those higher downforce tracks where McLaren's really had the advantage, I don't think it's going to be as big as what we've seen. I think this is a genuine step forward from Red Bull, and it can apply to all tracks. But I do think that it's maybe a little more tailored to some of these lower downforce places.
Yeah, Singapore then, probably a huge test.
Exactly.
Huge test.
I think one of the things that you mentioned is, as everybody's so focused on 26, people are starting to pay attention to things they didn't. Everything is downforce, bring more downforce, platform downforce. And when you do all this, at some point you're forgetting the mechanical grip, how the car turns, how does it feel, how can you make it more comfortable, how you can make the car complete the corner better, do a lot of things that you don't think when you're just adding downforce. And when the car is winning races, it's not a big deal. But now, when there's no new parts coming and you're sitting with the same car every week, you gotta look at it and go, hey guys, we got how many tools do we have here that we're not really using and we're not maximizing? And I think this is a way that you're seeing people get a lot better and people that are not really falling behind.
It's optimizing what you have because there's nothing new coming.
Yes.
It's not about development as it is optimization. Yeah, I think it's a great point.
And that's what Red Bull are doing so well at the moment under Laurent Mekies. Okay, I know the answer's probably going to be no, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Is Max Verstappen back in title contention? 69 points behind Oscar Piastri.
No.
Can those Max Verstappen Dutchy fans out there dream?
You can dream. Everybody can dream.
Everybody can.
Yeah.
Optimistically, realistically,
realistically, I would say no, but anything can happen. I don't want to go, no, it would never happen, because then you go,
we'll clip it up, don't you worry.
Yeah, exactly. So, but honestly, I don't see it. You know what I mean? I think the big question for us is where we were talking earlier, McLaren. What's going to happen there? Because we're starting to see a side of Oscar that nobody's seen before. I don't think even Oscar's seen it before. You know what I mean? He went to Monza and said, I'm in a comfortable position, but I'm not going to change my approach. And I actually said in Monza, whether you like it or not, mentally, you are going to change your approach, because you're going to start double guessing yourself. You either, one side is, I'm not pushing enough because I don't need to. And then you want to prove to yourself that you are pushing enough, and then you throw the car in the wall.
Juan Pablo Montoya, you have seamlessly moved on to our next topic, which is
You're
Alex
welcome.
Brundle in the studio talking about what went wrong for Oscar Piastri today.
Well, it was a 6-point swing, wasn't it, between the two drivers who are definitely in for the World Drivers' Championship. Uncharacteristic is the word, isn't it, for Oscar Piastri? He had a really difficult start to the race, a disastrous start to the race. All began here on the start-finish line. You can see the lights are still on, and Oscar clearly moving here before the lights go out for him in his McLaren, so he's clearly gone way too early. What he does here, though, is instinctively stops the car with the foot brake, but doesn't get the clutch back in, which means he gets the anti-stall on his dashboard. What you then basically have to do is bring the clutch back in and effectively guess with the throttle pedal. So any chance then of getting a decent start for Piastri is gone. He falls all the way to the back of the field. That error, of course, then compounded by the time he gets down towards turn 4. He's made a move on Pierre Gasly, and he's trying to recover something, sitting behind Esteban Ocon. We're going to have a look down to the outside. Piastri clearly overcommits here, locks up that left front. But there are a couple of things that really don't help. It was damp on the ground this morning for the Formula 2 race. And as you can see, there's a load of dirt and dust up by this wall. He's out pretty wide over this white line. He also puts the left front tyre right on this white line. Two things that won't have helped a lot, but essentially he's overcommitted the car. If you watch, though, this tyre, you can see how hard he tries to keep this car under control and still make the left-hander of turn 5 on and off the brakes, trying to get that left front tyre to reconnect to the tarmac. And he's still believing as he gets all the way in to the apex of 5. There's just too much dirt and dust offline the track, not in good condition at the beginning of the Grand Prix, and alas, finds himself in the outside wall pretty much as badly as a race start can go. The only saving grace, of course, for Piastri is his teammate didn't exactly have a great race either. So a tough day for McLaren, but a little swing in the championship, bringing Lando Norris back within 25 points of leading the series.
Thank you so much, Alex Brundle. Yeah, 25 points is the gap. I think we're going to come on to the fact it could have been more, looking at qualifying and looking through the race. Could Lando have done more? How big a missed opportunity is this after his 2 DNFs so far this year to claw back a bit of the advantage that Oscar Piastri has carved out? We've just been, the 2 racing drivers have been explaining to me that it's like when you're driving a road car and you just miss the clutch, suddenly braking, and your car stalls. And then, obviously, Oscar then has to go through a process to get the car going again.
Yeah, so he jumped the start, knew he jumped the start, so slammed on the brakes to not go too far ahead. And what happens then is, in a road car, if you don't get the clutch in, the car just stalls. Luckily, Formula 1 cars are fancy, and these things called anti-stall systems exist. And what that does is that essentially electronically engages the clutch, keeps the engine running. The driver then has to re-engage the hand clutch and then take off from there. But that can take you a second and a half, and we're talking about these drivers that react in tenths of a second to get going. Explains why he was last coming out of turn 1.
The hardest part of that is when he jumped, the lights went out. Like, if
Timing couldn't have been worse.
Couldn't be worse, because as soon as he jumped, the lights went out, and he was in anti-stall, and everybody's moving. By the time you bring the clutch back in, gas it, and you go, and then you get a terrible start because you don't want to stall again. Because, you know, you have a procedure when you're doing a start, and you're trying to, what they do, the F1 guys need to be clutching all the way, and they practice where they're going to release the clutch, because it's a complete manual exercise. And because then you need to know where the bite point is. And now he's like leaving the garage. He's like desperate. Gas, drop, now you don't get a good lunge. Now you're just spinning the tires off the line and everybody's blowing by you. And it's like, oh my God. And your mind goes to panic. I'm in the back here. He's thinking Lando's going to go and is going to win the race from where he is, and I'm not going to score points. So I need to start going by everybody here.
How uncharacteristic of Oscar Piastri and what we have known of him for the last few seasons was this weekend, and what does that signify moving ahead?
Look, one weekend's a single data point, right? We have 20, 30 weekends over the last 2 years you can point to of that kind of metronomic precision, not making mistakes, unflappable driver. I don't think we all sit here and panic like, oh my God, Oscar's lost the plot. He had a bad weekend. He's human, it happens. But it was 3 major mistakes in one weekend. The qualifying one, the start, and then obviously later in lap 1. So it's not going to be a weekend he's going to look back on fondly, but lots to learn from it. And the important thing is going to be how can he kind of mentally reset and just move on to Singapore and forget that this weekend even happened.
Yeah, I think when they were closer in points, you could see Oscar start making little mistakes, and the weekends were not as strong. He was doing a really good job in Q3, but over the weekend, Lando was doing a better job. He was like starting to dominate him, and I think he got a big break with the, with the DNF from Lando. Lando's starting to crawl back points, whether you like it or not. We still got quite a bit of racing to go, and we're gonna go to probably one of the best Lando's tracks, and there's gonna be probably more points taken away. And now you're going, we might leave Singapore with teens point gap, and it's gonna get stressful.
I think it also goes to show the level that Oscar has been operating at. 43 consecutive finishes in Formula One, the 3rd longest ever until this day today. That's the metronomic, good word, level that he operates on, that we are talking about this now, because we of course also see Lando making mistakes. Canada, DNF being one of those mistakes. But on Lando, let's get into this, because you feel that Oscar crashing out in qualifying, we discussed this in the pre-race show. Could McLaren have therefore taken a bigger risk in putting him out later in qualifying, putting Lando as high up as possible? And then in the race, could they have done anything differently with the strategy? Could Lando have done anything differently? And how big a missed opportunity is this for that side of the garage, do we think? Will it emerge in Abu Dhabi anyway?
Well, everything adds up. That's the reality. One of the hardest things there is when that happens is, okay, do we change the approach? Is Lando's side allowed to, no, we're going to go aggressive because, we don't have Oscar now. We want to take full advantage of the track and go when the track is driest? Or do we stick to the plan? And McLaren is very much sticking to the plan always. So I think it was a missed opportunity. I think they played it thinking there was going to be more red flags. But the guy with the driest track put it on pole.
We anticipated red flags, didn't we? I feel like we have to apologise to the viewers because it wasn't quite the chaos we anticipated. Slow stop, though, for McLaren, one thing. And the safety car restart for Lando. Go on, James.
I was going to say, both those things really hampered the progress. We expected the McLaren to be able to kind of drive through the field a little bit more, but then again, we expected a lot of cars to be able to do that. The track just not as raceable as we were expecting. Yuki saying off camera, 0 deg on the hards.
Wow.
We call it negative deg. The car actually gets faster because the tire doesn't wear and the fuel burns off, the car gets lighter. So that doesn't help racing at all. And in Lando's case, had he not had that bad pit stop, had he not let Leclerc by on that restart, he'd at least been ahead of that train of cars, maybe could have been sniffing at a podium. But it is a bit of a missed opportunity, but you can look at it the other way too. He could have ended up in the wall like Oscar. So it's still a net gain. You hope that by Abu Dhabi, you're not looking back and thinking that one position to Leclerc on the restart could have been the difference in a driver's championship.
That mega low deg as well that we're seeing, the negative deg, that nullifies McLaren's advantage, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? So I was going to ask you about, is this an issue, a creeping issue of McLaren pace at all? Is it a track-specific thing? And maybe it is just the fact that the deg isn't an option for this weekend.
But it's cool condition.
Yeah.
Low downforce, so you're not putting that much energy in the tire because you don't have that extra load of the big wings. We're going to Singapore, we're going to start going to some tracks where the high downforce is going to come back and you're going to start seeing the McLaren dominating again.
And it's not cool in Singapore ever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. This is unseasonably cool for Baku. It's never cool in Singapore.
No, it's not. All right, any final thoughts on McLaren before we put it to bed for this weekend and let the title fight rumble on?
Well, I think at this point they know going into the next race they're going to win the Constructors, and I don't think they were that focused on. I think big deal. I think Oscar for one side probably needs to really be smart about how he runs the next week. Mm-hmm. No mistakes. And he needs to build from there. He really needs to focus. as you said, you haven't seen that on Oscar, but Oscar hasn't been in a position to be world champion.
The thing that I'm excited about is that if McLaren doesn't have, I mean, and there might be still a few tracks where they're kind of, you know, head and shoulders above the field, relatively speaking. But now that we've got other cars in the mix, it's not just who finishes first, who finishes second, and this trade-off of wins. It's who finishes second, who finishes fifth. You know, having other cars in the mix makes this championship a lot more interesting if we can continuously have guys like Max, guys like George, guys like Charles and Lewis getting into the mix there. So fingers crossed that that advantage has come down a little bit at a few of these tracks coming up.
Yeah, those external factors now coming into play for McLaren, and the drivers' title fight will rumble on. So too the constructors, Mercedes outscoring them by 30, Red Bull by 33, which is more than certainly Mercedes needed to ensure that we'll keep an eye on that one until Singapore. Okay, let's hear though from George Russell, a very, very ill boy this weekend. He's managed P2.
Hi George, I mean first off, glad to hear that you're feeling a bit better today. It's been a bit of a rough weekend with everything, but just talk us through that race. I mean that second place, it sounds like extending that first stint maybe played quite a crucial part in getting that second place.
Yeah, it was a really strong race, to be honest. I think mainly just down to staying out of trouble. You know, I don't think we did anything spectacular. It was just a lot of people made a lot of mistakes this weekend between qualifying and the race. And, you know, in normal circumstances, we'd expect to finish ahead of Carlos, but he drove an amazing race, and I had to sort of try and bring my A game today to finish ahead of him.
I mean, going forwards as well, does that result today for both you and Kimi give you a lot of hope for the remaining races that you might be able to get some more positive results?
No, I mean, temperatures are cold here. It was more of a case of keeping temperature in the tyre, which is where we excel. You know, when we look at Vegas last year or Canada this year. So going to Singapore, I think, will be a bit of a different story.
Mercedes then in cool conditions. Is that back? Can we now predict that that is what we're going to see from Mercedes looking ahead? Well, they'll have one eye on Vegas, that's for sure. But an eventful race for George Russell, an eventful weekend with qualifying as well, and not being well. Today, the first time he's spoken to the media all weekend. How tricky is it to drive a Grand Prix? I'm sure you've both been unwell behind the wheel.
I think it is really hard. I think for today he was in good shape and he was cool. I think if this was Singapore, he would have suffered and you could have seen the performance go away. But I think he did a really good job. He brought it back together. He brought his A game today and it was really good to see. He got close with the teammate in turn one. Oh my God, I thought they were going to take each other out.
Yeah, here's his race story. Here's how things happened. Yeah, that moment there it is. And George, an expletive over the radio, wasn't it? I'm not even sure what it was, actually.
Well, nobody does. It was beeped out. But I think Julian Palmer called this one really well. If you actually watch the replay, they're close, but there's racing room there. I don't think Antonelli did anything wrong. I think he was racing hard, getting his elbows out a little bit. I thought it was great. The response on the radio may be a little bit unnecessary from George, but it was really that.
But George like that.
Yeah, he is like that. But that hard tire pace was huge, and we heard classic George helping call strategy over the radio. He came on and said, "Hey, I think these tires are good. I think we should extend this stint." And the pit wall comes back and says, "We were just going to say that." So amazing. From inside the car, unwell, while racing a Grand Prix, he can still do all the permutations and think, "No, I think we should do this."
And I like that he was up against Carlos Sainz as well, who's also a master strategist from within the car as well. We saw that moment between the two teammates, which was navigated very well between the both of them. But a word for Kimi Antonelli. P4, he started P4, finished P4. How do you evaluate his progress this weekend and that result?
But you got to remember, this track, I don't think it's that different than Canada. Low downforce, long straights, slow speed corners. So I think that it really suits the Mercedes. So he maximized. I think with all the talk, there's starting to be some rumors. I think Kimi needed a solid weekend and he had it.
Well, I know I may have promised some red flags, and we all did, didn't we? We promised those red flags.
Yeah, I was ready.
I know, and I thought, here we go. We didn't quite get that. We did have a few moments out there, though, didn't we? We had Colapinto into, remind me?
Colapinto got hit, I believe, by Albon.
Alonso's false starts. These are just a few of the highlights or lowlights for these drivers.
And reacting, off the driver in front,
the Alonso
classic.
false start, 5-second penalty
So
for
this
him.
is Ocon and Hülkenberg.
And both remained unscathed from that, and Ocon using the safety car actually to pit twice and then trying to go along on that hard tyre. And then we had, Ocon and, Colapinto and Albon there.
And the penalty, of course, for Albon for that collision, which, fair play.
Yeah, and we were expecting things like this, but normally they would hit a little harder. It was a red,
safety car,
safety car or something would happen, and it was clean. It was a cleaner race. In hindsight, if you look at the race, I think that with the DRS deployment was pretty late, and I don't know if they were expecting a lot more overtaking, but it's just not enough. I think if the cars were not within like 3/10 getting to the deployment point, they couldn't pass each other.
Yeah, you mentioned that's something you thought that we could have, or the race could improve, could change for next year. I don't think we're going to have a say in that, but maybe they're listening to this. Maybe they're listening to us. On penalties, actually, just worth noting, Oscar Piastri did get a 5-second penalty for the false start. He couldn't serve that within the race because he DNF'd on lap 1. So we're thinking that means a grid penalty for Singapore.
Yeah, normally it would be like 3 places. Okay. And there we go again. 3 places, 3 cores.
At Singapore, of all places.
Singapore.
I mean, you think passing here was tough.
Exactly. So we're, again, pressure point. You need to qualify really well again.
Yeah.
If you're going to get the penalty, that probably is going to happen. It's really hard. It's going to put pressure on the championship, pressure mentally, and he needs to just manage it and learn, be responsible about it. Okay, I'm going to lose these points, but we can bounce back. You don't want to make a small problem a bigger problem. He's still got a big enough gap that he can manage, and there's going to be weeks where he's going to lose points, but there's going to be weeks where he's going to earn some more points. So just got to be patient.
Yeah, another factor, though, for Oscar Piastri to contend with. How will he bounce back in Singapore? That is the question. For Kimi, Antonelli, though, a great day. P4, he's catching up with Ariana.
Kimi, we're just making our way through a very busy paddock here. P4 for you today. How are you feeling after that race?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit bittersweet, to be honest, because I was hoping for the podium, and we really gave our whole. And, I think... On the hard, I almost got into DRS of Carlos, but then starting to struggle a little bit with the dirty area, especially in the middle sector, and then starting to deck the grid. I mean, my tires started to deck a bit more, and it was not easy, but still decent result, and it's what we needed after the difficult European season.
I spoke to Toto not long ago, and he said that this was, a comeback that you really needed for yourself. Is that how you feel, that internally this really gives you a nice push and motivation for the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely, because, despite the good result, we're still disappointed because, I felt there was more on the table and that the podium was possible. So definitely we'll try to work even harder and try to carry this momentum into Singapore.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you go there. Thank you for talking with us, Kimi.
Very nice today, Kimi. Well done to Kimi. Thanks to Ariana. Let's hear then from the rest of the top 3. Carlos Sainz, first podium for Williams, and your winner, Max Verstappen.
Carlos, it's tough to know where to start after a bit of a magical race like that. And you said you were going to stick it on the podium yesterday, and you did just that. I mean, how does it feel, bearing in mind we were talking about your run of luck at the start of this weekend?
Well, I always said, that as long as the luck is there when we're fighting for a podium and we don't do mistakes when we're fighting for big things, I was going to be okay. And today is the perfect example. We had no issues. I could show the pace that I've had all year, and we stick it on the podium. And I'm very proud because it would have been very easy after the bad run of races to take a cautious approach, to think that something could go wrong today. But in the end, if you keep believing in yourself, in your team, and in everyone around you, and you do things like you know how to do them, when the time comes and you put it together.
And testament to your hard work as well, no doubt, throughout the season. I mean, what does this result say about the journey, the trajectory that Williams is on as well?
It's exactly what we needed. First of all, for me and Williams, because I think we both feel like we've got a bit hard done by the start of the year. We both felt, out of all the drivers that have changed teams, we were actually the ones that had done that transition the best in terms of speed, but we were always getting a bit hard done in the races and we were not getting the results. we both felt, both the team and I, that we were in the right trajectory and that it was just a matter of time before things stopped happening to us and we started scoring good results. But in the end, life is just like that, no? The first podium with Williams, probably first podium also on merit, because I think today we were just quick and no one could overtake us apart from George. Just proved that we were right. We were on the right trajectory and we just needed to put a weekend together to prove to everyone how competitive we are.
Thanks, Carlos. Well done today.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Max. First off, a really solid performance. Looks really controlled from our perspective. Did it feel as cool and calm in the cockpit behind the wheel?
I mean, to be honest, in general, yeah, I think it was going quite well. On the hard, we had quite decent pace. We just had to make them last, of course, for a long time. I was hoping, of course, that there was not going to be a safety car in the middle of that stint, and luckily that also didn't happen, because that would have, of course, destroyed the strategy a little bit. But yeah, we executed everything well. The pace was good of the car. It's always a very tough track to be consistent and keep it out of the walls, but we did all of that. And for us, of course, another incredible weekend.
I say another incredible weekend, back-to-back victories for you. What does it say in terms of where the team is going for the rest of the year? Does it feel like you've happened upon something and you can battle for more wins going forward?
I think the last 2 weekends for sure have been really, really positive for us. These were, of course, 2 low downforce tracks, so we have to wait and see how we are going to fare on the high downforce tracks as well. But yeah, we enjoy the moment. Yeah, great execution from everyone, and we'll see what happens in the upcoming races.
Thanks, Max. Well done this weekend.
Well, let's see what's going to happen in Singapore, shall we? Max Verstappen goes in with consecutive victories for the first time since mid-season 2024. Here's how things shape up then in Singapore. And of course, it's a night race, an offset schedule. So the weekend warm-up coming at 7:30 p.m. through to FP1 at 5:15, 8:45 for FP2, 5:15 then for the third hour of practice before qualifying under the lights. How special is that? Pre-qualifying show at 8:30, qualifying at 9 p.m. start. This all track time, of course. Post-qualifying show with all your reaction. And then your pre-race show at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. start for the Singapore Grand Prix, and the post-race show with all of the analysis and reaction coming straight after that podium. And the man alongside me here, James Hinchcliffe, will be at the helm for that one, steering the ship. Looking forward to that. How much are you looking forward to Singapore then, and what has already caught your eye off the back of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
Well, it's just so different. You know, we're back to another street circuit, but you couldn't really, I mean, we'll take Monaco aside. You can't really have a much more different street circuit to Baku than Singapore. So the conditions are going to be different. The track itself, the car setup's very different. So what I want to know is how this competitive order stacks up against what we're going to see in Singapore. I'm hoping it's still a bit of a mix. It's not too much of just kind of going back to the status quo we've seen for the rest of the season. But either way, it's a great event. I love going there. Looking forward to it.
You'll be mega. And JPM, always wonderful to have you with us. Thanks so much for all of your insights. What has stood out for you today, and what are you looking forward to for the remaining races in this title fight we have?
I mean, for one side, the Red Bulls, again, it just looks good. The car looks good. Yuki was competitive, and I don't think Yuki runs the same spec car as Max, and he was still competitive. As James said earlier, the order is getting messed up. I know we're going to go to a high downforce street course, and probably McLaren's going to dominate, but it's not going to be a clear. They're going to be there, but it's not. We can't go to the next race saying, "Oh, it's just McLaren going to win 1-2 pretty easy." It's not that case.
And we did go through a part of the season where we were saying, oh, it'll be a McLaren 1-2 and who gets P3, and how lucky we are that there's another twist to this season and we get to see mixed up grids, first-time podiums for certain drivers in certain teams, and career best results as well. I know it wasn't perhaps the chaotic Azerbaijan Grand Prix that we all promised and thought, but a fair few things for you all to discuss. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Alistair Hooper, who spent most of his weekend waiting for drivers in this media pen behind us. Thanks to Ariana Bravo as well for all of her efforts in chasing team principals and drivers, and to the whole crew here and back at Biggin Hill. That was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Do not miss the Singapore Grand Prix next time out. Bye for now.
Welcome to one of the great tests in Formula One under the floodlights of Marina Bay.
Welcome to Singapore.
Good reaction time for Lando Norris, down to turn number 1.
Norris is gone up the road.
It is a circuit that demands so much. Piastri with a montage of great overtakes.
This is the Singapore Grand Prix.
Lando Norris takes the checkered flag, a dominant drive complete.